My latest book is San Diego, Sunset Cliffs Park, A History, and it goes into the whole history of Sunset Cliffs Park going back to 1900. The park encompasses 1.5 miles of city parkland, and it starts at Adair Street and it expands to the south. It's actually been a park that has progressed over time and added more properties. The first park that Albert Spalding had goes to about where we're at right now. And the next part went to Ladera Street where the staircase goes down, and later on the natural park area that they call it now, the Hillside Park, was added. And it officially got added in 2005 through the Coastal Commission, and a lot of people living here promoted making that into a natural park. Spalding bought a lot of this property along with the Theosophists, Madam Tingley, who was their leader, in late 1800s and early 1900s. And Spalding was an amazing man because at a time now where we're losing parks and public property, he was actually promoting parks and public property. He was on the Panama Exposition trying to make Balboa Park a park and work on the exposition. This was all between about 1910 and 1915. Spalding was a sportsman and had some of the highest baseball scores in history and went into the business with his brother. You see this famous balls, made a fortune over that. He married his high school sweetheart, his second marriage, who was a Theosophist. Theosophists, it's kind of hard to explain. They were somewhat a utopian society. They were horticulturists. They were very involved with the community. They were probably the most successful type of community like this. I talk in the book about how they propagated over 30 kinds of avocado trees, and they owned the property that is now the natural park, and they planted 22,000 trees from the top of the hill down at one point, and some of the areas here up above the park were also planted. The water was a big problem. The Theosophists had a well. Madam Tingley, they called her, Catherine Tingley. She convinced Ed Fletcher and some of the main people living in Point Loma to bring water to the point. And that kind of changed everything. Kate Sessions was hired by the Theosophists. She's one of the most famous horticulturists, and she had planted a lot of Balboa Park. They called it City Park at the time. In 1901, she was hired by the Theosophists to plant here. Unfortunately, some of her plants didn't take because of the water and because of the harsh terrain, and they hired a couple other men to plant. And one thing they did, which is kind of interesting, they planted eucalyptus trees here as a windbreak so their plants would grow. And the eucalyptus trees later became controversial because they were non-native, but there's still quite a few out there. Some have been taken out. But without those, we wouldn't have had any planting, probably because they were the windbreaks out at certain parts of the park.